Let's make it happen, cat. It's about that bottom line, baby.
takes all night, but before we do that, let's crash into that. We can do it right. If it takes all night, but before we do that, let's
the truth. You can't handle the truth.
It's about that bottom line, baby. Let's make it happen, Cap.
Maybe 65 is life. All right. Patch Watch. Oh, don't you love it? Don't you love it? CIG, you're at it again. And it's a good thing. Well, today is the day. Drake for life. Defense Con. It's going down. CIG's doing their thing at getting things ready for 4.8 to launch. So why don't we just do a recap? All right, here we go.
In the Star Citizen universe, or at the very least, May is known for combat in the Star Citizen universe, or at the very least, celebrating the various combat vehicles that defend, destroy, or otherwise dominate the more adversarial aspects of life in the PU. And this year, we bring that to the forefront like never before with next week's publish of Alpha 4.8 and the long-awaited Tactical Strike Group's release. With Tactical Strike Groups, you and a select cadre of companions can pull together a small collection of ships designed to overcome a variety of mission objectives and achieve ultimate victory in our first dedicated teamwork-designed, spaceship-based PvE combat release.
Once you get these fighters off us, I'll fill you in on the situation.
Here, you'll come to the aid of a valiant People's Alliance Idris that is locked in mortal combat with the Vanduul tech thieves calling themselves the Shattered Blade. You know, those same ones that you've been unknowingly chasing since you braved the Tempest and Stormbreaker about this time last year. They've taken hostages and holed up in a previously abandoned and newly fortified extraction station. The mission, take out their forces, disable or survive the turrets,
Good hit. Nice work.
fly inside and bring down the power, and then board the station and recover the hostage. Or, extract them, because it used to be an extraction station. See? And of course, if you've already been testing on PTU or watching others on Twitch and YouTube, you know your troubles don't end there, because the massive Vanduul Mauler is tired of these guys' and don't seem to care which humans are which. So bug out or stand your ground if you can. The choice is up to you. Tactical Strike Groups is the most exciting step yet in realizing the fullest potential of Star Citizen's breadth of flyable combat ships. And like sandbox content such as Align and Mine, operations like Onyx Facilities and Rockcracker, events like Race for Stanton, or even Pyro's Contested Zones, Tactical Strike Groups is not a one-time release, but a new benchmark in the kinds of feature content that we can continue to build on for subsequent patches as we continue building out our universe on this journey to 1.0 and beyond. Alongside this new content is a new feature that looks to change overall fleet gameplay in new and interesting ways, and that's the addition of Ship Hangar Services, where select ships in 4.8 will be able to offer repairs, refueling, and rearming to any ship that lands in its bays. Provided, of course, that they have the requisite stock sitting aboard. Now, it's great for obvious ships like the Idris and the Polaris, but it's also coming to the Carrack, the Starlancer TAC, and fancy ships like the 600i and 890 Jump. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting you bring your 890 Jump into combat situations, but you could. And if you're like me, you would. And speaking of refueling, new refueling missions are arriving in Alpha 4.8, designed to help aspiring Good Samaritans begin their careers of helpful service to others. Now, when NPCs take their eye off the gauge, you have new opportunities to get them on their way once more. This is super useful for a ship like the Starfarer, as well as this cute, adorable little guy you might recognize from its recent reveal on social media. You keep expecting the eyes to pop out like a Pixar car. No, yeah, that's better. Now, from new ships to one of our oldest, the Drake Caterpillar is finally getting its fabled command module functionality in the upcoming Alpha 4.8. With this, you can leave your ship planetside and scatter around while others unload, abandon unruly crewmates for their poor behavior, or smile as you discover a loophole in Drake's no escape pod mantra and live to fight another day. It's also worth noting this command module is coming to 2 other vehicles launching in next week's patch. I wonder what those could be. There's a host of new FPS items, including new plasma grenades for blowing things up, new G-force resistant flight suits that daring pilots may want to consider over flying in bulkier armors all the time, and then the main event, the Novia crossbow. Now you can put a pin in bad folks, good folks, and anyone that just annoys you in style with this retro-inspired, futuristic death dealer. And then, of course, there's our co-main event. A big ship combat release like Tactical Strike Groups may highlight a few gaps in your fleet. Well, DefenseCon is here to fill your holes. After Invictus went home to Sol, DefenseCon is stepping up to celebrate the everyday heroes who truly make the universe a better and safer place, and maybe without the stuffy heavy-handedness of the UEE Navy. That means fire and attitude as DefenseCon presents the latest in combat spec. And since we're in the middle of DefenseCon Reveal Week on social media, let's take a look at some of the ships on offer during this year's event. The Drake Pitbull, with more guns than common sense, perhaps. The Origin M80, proving that looks can kill. The Miss Starlight, saying, not all heroes blow things up. The Aegis Tiburon, which, I'm just gonna say it, it's a shark with a frickin' laser beam on its head. And then, of course, the Fatterpillar and the Iron Shad Assault from Drake. The latter of which is getting the same hangar services we discussed before, and all things working out like they should. Both will be coming to PTU on Monday, May 11th, for existing owners to fly first. Yay! Of course, there's one more ship making its concept debut at DefenseCon this year, and that's the Anvil Odin Battlecruiser. Now, not much has been revealed at this point beyond, yes, it really is twice the size of the Javelin. But you can get 3 different first glimpses of it tomorrow, May 8th, in the weekly newsletter, social media, and even in the PTU if you know where to look. DefenseCon really is holding nothing back this year, unlike those stuffy UEE folks. Did I do it right? Drake. No, that's backwards. Nope, that's backwards again. Oh my god. That's a D? That's a D, right? So it's easy to see that there's a lot going on in 4.8. And like 4.7 before it, this also extends to the weeks after release, with additional Defend location missions coming in 4.8.1, some Alien Week festivities in 4.8.2, and if you haven't heard, the return of Xenothreat in 4.8.3. These guys just really don't care for those pro-alien celebrations. It kind of peaks. All in all, next week's patch is chock full of content that'll carry us through to 4.9 in July, all led by TSG and DefenseCon. And in that new DefenseCon spirit of sharing things early, let's carry that over and talk about the rest of 2026 for a bit. Now, throughout the remainder of this year, we intend to deliver the newly reworked and fully instanced debut of Siege of Orison, the new Genesis-built planets of the Nyx system, Starware and Starkitect goodness, the enormous multi-staged instance Municipal Works operation, a whole bunch of new ships and vehicles and additional gameplay features and quality of life improvements. There's an Apex $7 car that can literally pop its head out at any moment, and of course, as if anybody could forget, Squadron 42. There's a lot we got going on for the remainder of this year, and for that reason, we've made the decision not to host a CitizenCon event for 2026, either in person, digital, direct, or otherwise. It's a decision born out of how important these two games are to everyone on both sides of these projects. And while we'll certainly miss getting to meet so many of you at once, we do encourage you to check out the Bar Citizen World Tour that's well underway, because we always enjoy every opportunity we get to meet you and hear your stories. For instance, I'm going to Amsterdam in a couple weeks. Come find me and tell me how your TSG experiences went. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. As always, thank you for letting us share the people and process of game development with you. And we'll see you here next week at DefenseCon.
DefenseCon. Very nice. What do we have here? Something I wanted to look up. Something I want to look up. Yeah, here we go. Now I know. Look on Spectrum here. That's what I want to do. All right, so I'm gonna queue up for another video. Okay, here we go. All right, let me queue up another video here. All right. Let's get some
In the view, could you just
Q&A.
repeating?
do some Q&A. All right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live. I'm your host,
Be
Jared
right
Huckabee,
back, chat.
and this week's show is a special pre-tape show for our friends in Xi'an, China. As we do at this time of year, they have this big, giant, mega event with something like 2,000 people. I don't know. I've never been invited. But a big event. They submit questions. We go through questions. We pick the ones that we can address on the show. This year, we opened a thread up on Spectrum to the rest of the community to integrate their questions in. So we get questions from all around the world. This is our typical Fleet Week show where we take questions all about spaceships and spaceship gameplay and spaceship design and spaceship balancing and why haven't you made my spaceship the way that I want you to make my spaceship? Why? Why didn't you make my spaceship the way I wanted you to?
Don't want to.
Fair enough. So we're gonna dive into the questions right now. These were culled from both the list from our friends in China and from Spectrum. And right off the bat, we should introduce people. John, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG, and I look after all the vehicle teams, primarily the content ones.
Okay. Torsten, with a new title. Tell everybody who you are.
Ni hao, I'm Torsten, Assistant Design Director at this point. And yeah, I look after still the system design team, tech design team, AI design team, so a bit more responsibility at this point.
And that's the gameplay that
Everything.
sits at the center of the game.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And Rich, certainly, welcome back. You know, we had some confusion about how you got here before the showtime.
So,
But, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
yeah. So I'm Richard. I'm the lead designer of the vehicle experience team. So we look after kind of the vehicles, vehicle balance, vehicle gameplay, and work very closely with Torsten on just how the vehicles play in the game, basically.
So you got the people who make the ships, the people who make the game, the people who help the ships interact with the game, and somewhere in between all three, usually we can find an answer to one of these questions. So right off the bat, in no particular order, this show will probably be a little bit longer than normal, and certainly not better for being pre-taped. I think we've proven that already. We want high difficulty PvE content where players can team up for extended sessions. How will this be expanded going forward? Well, this seems like a very timely question. We've got the upcoming tactical strike groups. Talk to us about TSG.
Well, TSG will be introducing the need for different ships and for multiple players playing together, working together, and basically coordinating themselves and going in with like a big group to resolve the mission. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, we have a lot of ships in the game, and they all have very different roles, and TSG finally sort of brings together the requirements for person A in ship archetype 1, person B in ship archetype 2, and they can work together to complete the mission, because TSG is not like do one thing, mission done. It's a layered, staggered, sequential series of events that one ship is not. You don't need one ship to do it. You need multiple types. So I think it's
Using
super
different types of gameplay, different objectives. You know, we've had this concept. The PO's been around since 2015. That we're building this spaceship MMO, where you need to bring together fighters and repair ships and capital ships and bombers and stuff like this, and bring them together for a coordinated attack. We've had this promise for a while, but a lot of our content, and I don't think I'm telling anything anybody doesn't know. A lot of our content tends to be very FPS focused. For this reason or that, as systems are being developed, as flight models are being tuned and retuned and stuff like that. Now, this is the first major step forward. We're not going to hit everything we want to do in this first thing, but TSG represents this first major step forward at these coordinated, extended PvE spaceship experiences for the game, and there's literally no content drop that I've been more excited about, which is why it was the centerpiece for CitizenCon Direct last year, to see it finally arriving here at May and tied in with a big fighting spaceship promotion alongside. I wish we could take credit for it. That was entirely happenstance. It's really nice. So it's a really exciting time for Star Citizen, and by the time this airs, people will have been playing it in PTU and stuff, and hope they're seeing the amazing work the team have been doing. With that, let's get to the majority of questions for a show like this, which is, why haven't you made my ship the way that you want me to make it? Comparing the RSI Perseus's in-game appearance against, I really didn't time that, against its original concept art, the original concept had a much cleaner look, while the flyable version features many irregular and unconventional design elements. How did the team envision this design evolution as you move towards production?
Okay, so part of that is just how things work during development. A lot of the older ships, so Polaris and Perseus, for example, the actual concepts of them are in 3D, but they're very low detail 3D, and then they have all the details painted over it in 2D in Photoshop or whatever. So when you actually come to put into production, you don't have any of that detail. You put the corridor pieces in, and they are just flat sections. And as any artist will tell you, that's not good looking. So you add these details, and the Perseus built on the lessons we learned from the Polaris, which we talked about many times before. We went with a sort of brutalist style approach to it, which we liked. Lots of people didn't like, so we wanted to sort of course correct a bit with the RSI.
So basically, based on the view, just the overall shape versus the actual 3D detailed model, it gave the artist or the developer artistic license, meaning they can go in, as long as they have the basic shape, they're able to add the interpretations of what they may think is pretty good, as opposed to the early concept based upon a flat 2D representation versus a 3D modeled image. So the artist, being the artist, this opens the door and allows the artist to be artists, such as taking the concept and not following it, not having to color within the lines of a coloring book. This is an artist being an artist. So with that said, artistic license is one of the elements that an artist can use according to their vision. So whether you interpret it one way or the other, you still have to respect the artistic license applied to what the artist's vision is. So sometimes it hits out of the park. Sometimes it's interpreted a different way. But at the end of the day, it's about the functionality, about crafting something that's original, also keeping the artist engaged and having them feel as though they can lend to their own style or their creativeness to the project, as opposed to you do as I say, almost like micromanaging. But this is where an artist can actually lend themselves to be creative. So, boom.
Style. So the Perseus are a lot more detailed in those corridors, and you'll see more of that evolving in with the Galaxy, although toned down a little because it's not military, it's civilian. So things that were amped up have been toned back down again for the Galaxy, but it's all built from that same kit style. And you sort of need that level of detail to make it look good. You can't just have flat walls that are the RSI trapezoidal shape. It doesn't work. So it's sort of as you're in there, you need to build and add layers whilst being mindful that it's not, here's this wall section that I've made as an artist, and I want it to be the best wall section I've ever made in my life, and it's going to look really great on my portfolio, and then it's repeated 30 times down the corridor. It just overloads everyone's brains and eyes. So it's sort of you have that, and then you break it up with lower detail bits just to give eye relief.
Yeah, at scale, you need more irregularity.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the repetition becomes far more in your face.
When you have some of those corridors, it's less so with the Perseus, but still you have corridor sections that are like 5-6 segments repeated. You need something irregular to break that up. Otherwise, it just looks copy paste all the way down.
There's also something to be said about new people who have joined the project since a ship was concepted. You know, people come to the project and they come with new talents, new skills, new experiences. Technology improves from the time when something was concepted, and the idea that you just come in and just have to Control-C, Control-V something that was designed years ago, it's uninteresting to everybody. It's like we've all learned so much. We've all gained so much experience. Of course, we're going to apply that, you know, to these ships as we build them, and that means changes will occur. And I think anybody.
There's a video, I think it just popped up. Let's look at that, shall we? Tactical Strike by CIG. Let's look at that. That just popped up.
YouTube, how you guys doing?
Buddy, let's see. Tactical Strike. Let's see. It's there. 1 minute ago, it just popped up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Let's check it out. No diggity, no doubt. It just came up a minute ago. Thank you, CIG. Tactical Strike.
Another day, another rescue.
He better be worth it.
This'll be easy.
Tranquility is taking heavy fire. Repeat. Getting these shadow
On it.
Light 'em up.
Here we go. Contacts all over. Nice work. That's the last. Heading into the safe.
What the hell is that? Break.
Aim for the breakers.
Got in. Doors open.
Nice work.
Heading in.
Oh, not a lot of room in here.
Saying words.
Guys, stay focused. Hit the cooling units.
We gotta move faster, guys.
Yeah, found that one.
Shit, it's getting hot in here. Last one down.
The core's exposed. I repeat, the core.
Take the damn shot.
Breach point set. Initiating release. Tranquility, targets away. Nice work, team. We are moving out.
Guess he was working.
Oh God, Hex is down. I repeat.
What the? Incoming. Are those blades?
Indigo fighters. Multiple contacts.
Move it, fighters. There's one on me, guys.
Shake him off, Falco. I'm taking fire. I'm in. Punching out. Someone call for some backup. Hell of a fight you've picked. Fight is inbound, Tranquility. Come on.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's tear them up.
4.8 tactical strike.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Nice. Nice. Wow. All right. All righty then. That was nice. That was nice. That was nice.
Buddy, if I'm allowed to have an opinion, I have said this often. The ships today
getting ready.
that are made today are better than the ships that were made last year, are better than the ships that were made the year before that. So yes, they may change so much, but I almost universally for the better. It's one of the few things I'll say are you can kind of just draw a line across. The ships get better every year. So that's a testament to, well, not you, John, but the people who are on your team.
The people that do the work.
Hold on.
Light fighters, medium fighters, and heavy fighters currently feel like their roles overlap and their counter relationships are unclear. Will there be a rework to better differentiate them?
Short answer to that is yes. But the long answer is, you know, they are relatively close. So, you know, so our light fighters are actually pretty heavy and pretty big, you know, themselves. So it's no surprise that that kind of range of ships, it does blur the lines. But, you know, we've been putting a lot of work, you know, over the past 12 months on the new flight model. And we're really working on how we make these ships interact with each other in different ways. You know, so there's different advantages and different weaknesses in each archetype. Also, been working with Austin on, you know, the weapon balance and the armor changes, and that's going to really, well, that's already started to have an impact on how these ships interact as well.
Yeah, actually, it's something that we discussed a lot lately in the vehicle leadership meeting that we all have, where we...
There's a ship leadership meeting. That's pretty good that they come together and kind of discuss and understand what systems that they're working on, potentially interacts, potentially conflicts, and it's more of a getting together to ensure that the balances are smoothed out and that there's cohesiveness in what they're doing, so they're not stepping over each other, or that they can layer in things in a way that it's more structured, it makes more sense, thus allowing them to create a product that's more polished potentially. And by coming together and discussing things, they can also have conversations of what is exposing the other process, or creating. They can expose all the processes that overlap each other, and then work out the issues that are caused by the overlapping features potentially. So this is good that they're able to collaborate amongst themselves as leaders in their departments and groups. Thus, it gives the developers under them more license and more direction as to what needs to be done. So that way, when the product is finished, it's more of a finished product, as opposed to it's Frankenstein and it's stitched together, and then you have to sort out those issues. So it says that they're coming together, they're working out the processes. So this is a good thing for us, the players. But the feedback, the loop in the feedback is, it gets in our hands, we give objective feedback, it's then brought back to that leadership and refined. So this is potentially a good thing.
So we need to treat fighters more as its own bucket, but in that bucket we also need to treat the fighters differently, so that there is a huge, a clear identity between the fighters. And this is something that we have been working out. The new flight model that Rich and his team is working on is also moving us into that direction, that there's a better distinction between the fighters. But something that also came out from the feedback that we received with all the armor rework that we have been doing is because we have right now in the game, in 4.7, in 4.8, hopefully not anymore, this hard gap between heavy fighters and medium fighters and light fighters. So there's this, like even a stop gap between medium fighters and heavy fighters. So we decided on that doesn't paint the picture of fighters, because fighters have to fight each other rather than there's one sitting outside that is immune to light fighters.
Let's go.
So like one consequence of us discussing in there was also
Time to
bringing that
salvage.
closer together, but still maintaining perceived differences between these fighters. So there's still a meaningful choice that then also plays into like all the content that we are doing now for spaceships, where you better bring a heavy fighter, but there are also opportunities for the light fighter.
Yeah, it's something we talked about before as well that I want to reiterate, is that you don't do like 20 hours of light fighter. I've done light fighter now, so now I'm going to upgrade my role or career into medium fighters and then heavy fighters. They're tools for different jobs. They're not like linear power upgrades. You can obviously upgrade, but it's a choice of how your gameplay is to go from light to medium. You could stay a light fighter for all your game time if you want and have a perfectly great time. You don't need to go up the chain if you don't want to. It just gives you different opportunities and different experiences.
Yeah, I think there was this big expectation when the F8C came out that it was just going to be the the I win button, everything, and it's not. It's not intended to be.
Yeah, that's like it's something that we have been trying for ages already. That we want to have like each category has its own purpose. Sometimes we are doing like we hit the we hit it, and it's actually working out the way that we intended. But sometimes we have to do slight adjustments, and we are right now in the adjustment phase, especially for the fighter. And they have a focus right now, especially in the new flight model testing. We focus very hard on the fighter, that they feel great, that they feel different. And no, I'm actually looking forward to the future for fighters in our game, because I think we are on a good way there. We just need more testing and like.
So I have to ask this. This is my own follow-up here. Every time we bring up the new flight model, this is starting to feel after many years now, like like the Benny Hill song starts to play. When we talk about this new flight model is always right around the corner. It's always, well, we did that, and then it got us part of it, but then we learned more. That's part of having a testing environment in the middle of your development. We don't have to do it all in one. We can put a part of it out, test it, and go, oh, okay, well, that's going to send us in a different direction. But constantly being sent in different directions, constantly having this conversation about this, and it can start to sound like noise over, as it covers years.
See, 4.8 is now live.
I'm not going to ask when. We're not talking about when. We know that most of this work is happening in Squadron.
I think we're live.
I'm going to ask you how you feel about the flight model right now.
I think we're live.
You're in there, you're playing it. There's a question in here later about whether CIG staff play Star Citizen. You guys are playing it. You guys are working with it. You have to in order to test it. It's in massive testing with Michael Smith's team.
We're live.
And that's what. How is that going?
Live. Let's go.
How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, look.
So in the current game,
we are live.
I think we've got a really good flight model, but it's lacking some of the levers that we want to pull to make the ships feel different. To do the light fighter, heavy fighter, but also not just fighters, to make our large ships feel like massive ships that you're really pulling through, to kind of turn and move the ships around. So, I do think our current flight model is really good, and it's a really good testament to the team. But we've learnt so much since we've introduced it. But I would see the new flight model as not just how the ships fly, but it's the overall flight experience.
You better believe it. You all
kind of change
updating now.
So we aren't going to rush out there and just put out a piece of the new flight model and not have the rest.
Happy moose.
We're kind of looking at this as soon as you take off in your ship, that is the flight model starting, and then you go all the way to the full new kind of quantum experience, and that's going to be the new flight experience really. So it's not just a flight model and how the.
All right.
Let's make it happen, Captain.
CIG, I want to say, keep up the good work. Of course, we understand this is new. These are new features. There's going to be a work through period. We understand that. Those who don't, grow the hell up. But yeah, great job. And thank you for staying focused and staying on the path on the road of 1.0. And you all need to get some rest. You really burned the midnight hour on this one, and I want to thank you and keep it going. Let the sales begin. Launching now, baby. Woo. Waka-less. This is Wakapedia's. There we go. Let's go. No, you wish. But hey, Pappy, you might have a shot. I'm not gonna sleep on it. I'm not gonna sleep on it. You may have a shot. Here come the shaders, baby. Going back home to the social module as well. Going back to area 18. Waiting for those shaders to come through there. 70%, 80%, yes. So, area 18, I'm going back home, baby. So A 96 on the till. All night before we do that, let's crash into that. If it takes all night before we do that, let's crash into that. Before we do that, let's crash into that. Before we do that, let's crash into that. 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 Crash into that. Let's crash into that. Crash into that. Crash into that. Let's go. All right. We are starting with 20,000 Alpha United Earth credits. 20,000. Long-term persistence, long LTP white while preserving blueprints. Let's get it. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Happy. Come on, man. Definitely a situation. Let's crash into but before we do that, okay, I'm in number 26. Finra, are you getting into the game? Right. Let's go. Let's go, Finra. You know what time it is. Okay, I'm in Q1, y'all. Gameplay Tactical Strike Group, G-Forces and Flight Suits, Refueling Missions and Improvements. It's a lot to digest here. It's a lot. Refueling, Finra, we need to test that for sure. Ironclad and Assault. I'm going to test the, I have to do this. I have to test out, we got to get that longbow, the crossbow as well. We're gonna, I'm gonna test the assault to see if it's working. Here we go, baby. Let's go. We're in. We are in. Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to queue. I'm gonna set up my queue again for the stream. Yes, all that. 1 second. Let me stop the stream and briefly. Just hang in here, y'all. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna change the messaging on my stream that we're live. I'm gonna stop and we're gonna go again. All right, see you in a second.